If you go to an exhibition and you look at paintings, you might say to yourself, if you see something that you like, that you want to make something similar to what you see on in the exhibition. If you, instead of going to an exhibition, you go in the woods for a walk, and if during your walk in the woods you have no clear image in your mind of anything, that is what happens in my case. If I walk in the woods, my mind is very abstract. I hear no voices and I see no pictures. My mind is very abstract. And I've experienced before that after a long walk I can go back home and I can sit down and write a letter or something, and I discover that I'm formulating myself in words on the paper with thoughts that I didn't know that I was having while I was walking. I know that my creativity begins in an abstract form, a shapelessness. It's just energy, and it doesn't follow any rules of language. It's just energies moving freely in any direction. And slowly there is a formulation taking place. Maybe there are similarities between what happens when I create and what happens when a crystal is forming. I don't know. One thing is for certain, that the chaos that existed prior to the forming of the structure must have had some kind of meaning to it. Why is the crystal crystallizing the way it does? Is it because of some external impression that is given, like the one situation that I was mentioning if I walk into an exhibition and I see paintings and I get the feeling that I want to make paintings like that, this reaction is due to the fact that I'm being played by external stimulation. When David Bowie wrote Hunky Dory, he clearly had been experiencing something, and he was creating the songs inside and out. It began inside, forming, and it came out like songs. Later in life, David Bowie couldn't write poetry. He said that he could not sit down and write a poem. So he was making songs that really was not poetry with music. It was language is pictures. Words are pictures. Words can be abstract pictures and they can be not so abstract pictures. Entity is a quite abstract picture, but mirror is less, and cup is not very abstract. It's very easy to see in your mind a cup when I see a cup, or I can say a pink elephant. What David Bowie was doing was that he was he had a computer, and the computer was making random sentences, and he was reading these random sentences, and when he noticed some meaning in those sentences, or when he read meaning into it, he used it in his songs. This is similar to what happened when you go to an exhibition and you look at pictures. You are stimulated by external things. The problem with external stimuli is that it often recalls fears. If you express yourself from inside out, it is less probable that it's caused by fear. But if you are a fearful person, you will react on the environment with fear. And whatever it is in your environment, it can be sentences, and it can be situations, it can be exhibitions, pictures in exhibitions. What I'm trying to tell is that if you express yourself from the inside, you might not be able to get out what you have inside. And then you might choose to express something you read out of what other people has done. The reason why you choose to read music out of other people's music instead of composing is that your inner self is so is so destroyed that nothing grows out of it. It's said that the tree is valued by its fruits. The tree is producing fruit from the inside to the outside. The fruit is growing from the tree. If you are not able to bear fruits, you have to work on that and not distract yourself from it doing something else. You might be very good at something, and you may get well paid for what you do, but as long as it's not coming from the inside, it's going to cost you your connection to your inside, because you choose not to develop your connection to your inside. Instead, you just steal ideas from the external. And when you wake up in the morning, if you steal from yourself, it's also a problem. David Bowie did that too. He used to make new conclusions based on listening to his old tracks. So what he did was he wrote songs, and then he listened back to his songs to draw conclusions. He could not draw conclusions directly from the moment. He had to first write songs and then listen to the songs and draw conclusions from them. This is not the way to do it. In in the Bible it says that if you want to know how people are, you have to look at the way they exit this life. David Bowie died of cancer, and some people say that they never met anyone with cancer that did not have some sort of problems with their past. Richard Wright in Pink Floyd died of cancer, and he wrote in one of his songs that he wrote about. He wrote the idea that someone was very brave to face their past. But in fact, the past does not exist. When you recall the past, your recollection of the past is selective, and your memories are selective. So you can't recall the past. Your memories are selective, and your interpretation of your memories cannot be trusted. If you want to heal, you have to do it in the present. And you have to understand that the past is gone. Or in fact, it never was. The only thing that you have is this internal now. God himself has no future and he has no past. He only have an internal now. And the ego doesn't have a future. It only has a past. So the ego tries to reach into the future by making a bridge across the present from the past into the future. But this is not possible because the only existence is in the now. So whatever you do as the first thing in the morning, it has to be something that is happening in your right mind, not in your body. Your body represents the past. When you drink a cup of coffee, the taste of coffee, your interpretation of the taste or your experience of the taste is determined by thousands of cups of coffee that you have been drinking before. If you had never had a cup of coffee before, you wouldn't know the taste of it. So 98% of your experience of your coffee is the past. So you have to find a way to enter the present. And because everyone has two minds, you have to be in your right mind. And your wrong mind is the ego mind. When you identify with ego, you are in your wrong mind and you lose yourself. And when you are in your right mind, you find yourself, and you find yourself in the present moment where there is no future or past. You might have trauma, and trauma is a manifestation of something undigested in your past that is contaminating your experience of life as something happening in your body, or it's in the body. Trauma is in the body. Maybe you can you leave your body behind and go into the spirit world and take your trauma with you. I don't know, but I know that some of the traumas will be left behind when you leave behind your body. Dying of cancer is absolutely something that happens in your physical body. So you have to transcend. You have to forget your body and your past and your language. And when you do that, you move into the present. And it's very important to understand that consciousness is the domain of the ego, and consciousness, if you speak out of consciousness, you refer to past reflections that are habits. When you do what Spirit wants you to do, you can move further. You can move on without having to deal too much with consciousness. You have to let the energies get to you and move through you. So when you get up in the morning, you are distracted by many things. You are distracted by fears. And you have to do what you want, not what you are afraid of. And remember, there is no will but God's will, so if you use your will, it's of God. So never do what you don't want to do. Never let anyone make you do what you don't want to do.